September 8, 2020, the Alameda Fire swept through the cities of Talent and Phoenix, destroying the homes of 698 Phoenix Talent students and scattering families across the Rogue Valley in a never-before-seen mass exodus.
It's the fact that this fire came in, it took out, in total in our community, 2,500 homes, the homes of 700 school children. And the families that were taken out were some in single-family homes, but 1,500 of those 2,500 were in manufactured home parks. The fire wiped out 18 parks, not homes, but parks, either in total or largely.
We had 700 students lose their homes, and I think it's close to 700, but 696, I think. And that amounted to 464 families. You know, they lost everything overnight.
And that alone was a tremendous boon to the community because after the fire, people just fled to all corners of our community.
Between the pandemic and the Alameda Fire, the Phoenix talent community endured an unprecedented double whammy in 2020, and experts predict the housing crisis alone will likely require a rebuilding effort that will last at least 3 to 5 years.
It's unique because of what we're going through, just the rebuild from the fire. When you've got a disaster that pumped $450 million in aid to this area, that's pretty big. And the second largest response to a natural disaster in the history of this country.
In the 14 months since the fire, the community has come together in major ways. And while the average daily membership numbers reflect that of a 4A school, the numbers only tell a part of the story.
And that doesn't show up in the numbers. We still have kids here, but we have about 160 kids right now who are McKinney-Vento. In the next year or so, they're going to have to be back in this community or get an inter-district transfer to be here. So we are anticipating losing some of those kids. Our numbers are down at the elementary and middle school levels. Our schools, until these communities are rebuilt, are going to be smaller. And that's why we're asking for this time to be able to reset and regrow our athletic programs.
Many children are now living outside of the school district boundaries, sitting in school buses for hours each day. This necessary extension of the school day has made extra things like sports and activities a luxury many Phoenix High School students cannot afford.
They're living all over the place. We've got kids living 20 and 30 minutes away one way, so that means an extra hour round trip for a parent to come and get those kids, to get them after practice. So for some of those kids, extracurriculars just aren't an option right now.
Students whose struggles are mostly unknown.
Yeah, just the challenges. The story of the one boy who we had the other day who basically left sports for a year to help rebuild a home. Another girl we talked to lived in a trailer with her family for 14 months. Now she's back in her home, but her life has been turned upside down.
Much larger, actually, and will likely become more challenging still. If projections based on the Talent Middle School's enrollment numbers prove accurate, the high school will continue to shrink for years, even as the other challenges its families face persist.
Our numbers are down in a lot of sports. Typically we would have a full JV team in softball, in girls soccer, and we'd have a third team in girls basketball. We don't have any of those right now just because there aren't enough kids wanting to participate. We hope down the road they will, but for now in the foreseeable future, our numbers are down.
And worse, FEMA housing available in White City, Central Point, and Gold Hill is not anticipated to be extended beyond the 18-month emergency declaration period, a deadline which could force those families to make the difficult decision to leave their home district. And even if new mobile home parks do spring up locally, several park owners have suggested that previously all-age family parks will be transformed into senior communities.
We think it's going to be a 3 to 4 year process. They've talked about how long it's going to take to rebuild the communities and restore housing and get people back here, affordable housing wise, and it's going to be several years. We know it's not an overnight thing, and really we're only 14 months removed from the Alameda fires, and a lot of people have moved on to the next disaster if you don't live here. But to live here and see what our families, our kids, our communities are going through, you can see where this is a true need.
Numbers don't lie. 310 students still live in temporary housing, from FEMA assisted to doubling up with family or friends. And since the Alameda fire, the district has lost 292 students, primarily due to housing shortages. Shortages that will take years from which to recover.
We don't have the kids to truly be considered a 4A school. You know, our enrollment numbers, where they're going to be at, where they're currently at, and the amount of kids who can't participate, we just don't know that we really are in a position to be able to compete realistically for the next 4 years at those levels.
I'm hopeful that when the housing improves and there's affordable housing that is going up within our district boundaries, that our families have an opportunity to move back. Our cities, City of Talent, City of Phoenix, the county, have really been working hard to remove barriers so that happens as quickly as possible. And if you drive around, there's a lot of hope and encouragement for that.